Well, it isn't always sunny in Valencia, but after 5 hours sailing and about 5 hours refining the software code last night, I'm determined to go out and get some more data today and test what I did. So I'll give it half an hour just to give it a chance to clear up. And if it's still raining, it's still raining. We're going sailing in the rain. It's not freezing cold, so it could be worse. That didn't go as planned. Made it halfway to the marina entrance exit, and the overheat light came and warning bell buzzer came on for the engine. Had a quick check and the water was not coming out of the exhaust. It was when I started the engine, so that's odd. And so we just made it back in with the beeping, and I'm going to have a look, do a bit of fault finding. Either something has gone into the entrance or my impeller, which is less than a year old, has failed. So let's have a look. Like, walk through this on the as I do it. The first sign that I'm not happy about is that I'm just taking the backing plate off the water pump and boiling water is pouring out from the engine, which means that water was going in to the engine and just not getting through the engine. So I'll just finish taking the backing plate off and check the impeller, but then we have to work our way forwards. Now, of course, I did put that new exhaust mixer on. It's been working fine for the last couple of days, well, last 4 days. So yeah, let's see where this takes us. To say that the impeller is missing blade, and so I'm 98% convinced that that blade missing is the reason why water was not going through. Of course, that's only one blade, so it wouldn't stop the pump from working, it would just reduce the flow from the pump. But where is the blade? The blade could be anywhere up to there, I reckon. Unlikely to have got past here, but it could be all the way up there. So now we've got to change the impeller, but also find the blade. Not in there. Damn it, look. No blockages in that one. Son of a bitch. Right, then we've got, this is the anode, and then this pipe here. Oh boy, the last time I changed this friggin' anode, it took me 6 months to get this off. Hopefully I did not torque it as much this time. Bollocks, now I'm bleeding everywhere like a big girl's blouse. Is it at? Well, that is out. What have we learned? We've learned that it's not in the inlet here, and it's not obviously in here, but I can't see deep enough into the engine. I am going to poke a long wire in there, but I can't see anything. I don't know if you're pointing in the right direction. My eyes won't focus on two things at the same time. But if you could see right down there, you wouldn't see anything obviously rubber. So next is, although you would see the smoky smoke of the heat. So next is to go up this pipe, and if it's not in there, then we're going to try blowing back through this pipe to see if we can blow it out. Well, you know, that little spot of the day where there's no rain and we would have been sailing, we're now doing engine maintenance. Damn it, I love this boat. Cascading failures. It's fair to say we ain't going anywhere now not without a replacement hose for there. Still haven't found the impeller blade, and I have been blowing down a various orifice to no avail, which is frustrating to say the least. Damn it! I found it, and I found it in there. It must have flowed back when I took the case off here from wherever it was jamming up there, flowed back and sat in there. Now I could blow through the pipe, it didn't feel obstructed, but clearly that's where it was. Unfortunately, I've damaged one of the other pipes taking it off, and so now, unless I've got a spare, I have got some spares, I don't think I've got that one. I'm gonna have a look and put everything else back together, including a new impeller in there, and then moan about the fact that I broke my engine while I was trying to fix it. But you know, that's life, or so they say. Wrote down in May. Actually, it's May the 1st today. Have a look what we've got. We've got cav filters. We've got, oh yes, pins and bolts and things. We've got, oh, I bought this. What's that? That's a filter, fuel filter, oil filter or something. I think that's anodes, more anodes. I haven't got my glasses on, so more filters. That's a shaft for the water pump. We've got, oh yeah, engine alignment. It's a shame because those idiots, the engineers, oh look, we're going to need that. The engineers who realigned my engine in Falmouth chose not to use the realignment things and just used some folded up aluminium foil, which was dodgy. Anyway, look, we've got all the belts a boy could need. We've got a head gasket and other gasket replacement kits. Boy, the previous owner, John, he was a lovely old bloke, a farmer, and this was his tool shed, and he clearly thought about every circumstance, because look what I've got. I've got DH cap heater hose, and I've got car heater hose, SAE 1/2 inch 13mm, which I'm pretty sure should work as a replacement for this. So I just got to cut an appropriate length, get it bent into the right kind of shape, and Bob's your uncle. John, wherever you may be now, good on you, mate, good on you. Right, I'm having a fag. When I finished it, we'll set about fabricating, that's a good word, isn't it? Vodging up a new hose. Oh dearie me. Right, it's all back together. This is the newly fabricated hose. Everything's tightened up, fingerish tight. No, tightened up enough. Let's see. I don't see any leaks in here. Let's see if we got water coming out. I should see it going through here, but I don't see anything. Yeah. We got water flow here. and we've got water coming out there. Hallelujah. And the sun has come out, and it's only 3 o'clock, so we're going sailing. And the police are around. She's not looking. 3 o'clock, well, 10 past, and we're off again. We got the Coast Guard, we got the feds, we got a dredger, got some filth in the water. The sun is partly shining, so let the magic happen. Again, that's what 12 knots of wind will do to you. Actually, it's indicating 9 right now, but I'm still a bit sheltered in here. But yeah, this is the entrance to Valencia. Always chippity choppity. I'm glad I don't have an outboard motor. It would spend most of its time sucking up air. Speaking of which, we've not overheated yet, so that's a good thing. Of course, as usual, the wind is coming from the buoy directly. It always does, so I've got to get past it before I can turn up. Otherwise I risk getting blown back onto that whilst I'm faffing about with the sails. Look at these bastards! At least if I went overboard here, I could swim back to shore. A reminder to myself to get the sails away way before I get to this part. Oh, there's my neighbours, they gave me a wave earlier. Hello! Hello! They're not looking. I think they don't like the chop. Ugh. Right, I'm going to put the camera down because clearly it's friggin' hazardous to be trying to hold a camera while we're getting out here. And once I've got the sails up, I'll get back to you. I might even have to put the life jacket on today, just so I can strap on while I'm faffing about. Right, we're off. And we're sailing initially 45-degree true wind angle on first reef today because the wind is 12 knots. And that's normally when I put the first reef in the main, full Jenny. And we're just gonna go 5 degrees blocks so that my tool can learn. And as you can see, it's learning. It's plotting the polar as it gets little chunks of data. It rationalizes them into 1 second blocks because it's a really fast data stream, so it rationalizes them, then does a quality control. If there's something that's obviously not right, it just rejects it. If it passes the quality control, then it puts it in a bin with all the other ones at the same angle with the same wind speed, and averages out the boat speed to plot it as we go. Now last night I spent 5-6 hours analysing the data from yesterday because something wasn't right with the port starboard speeds, were completely different, and with the help of some AI we analysed 4 hours of sailing data and managed to do a number of functions to try and make the port and the starboard match. And what we came up with in the end was a 5-degree heading error on my instruments and a 5-degree wind vane error. Now I've only ever changed the offset on the wind vane or the offset on the heading, and I never did both together. So doing a massive data analysis, those two together made the best fit port and starboard. So I've got those in the instruments at the moment. Another thing which I can't do on the B&G but I've done on my app, my paddle wheel, obviously it's one of the least accurate things on a boat, a paddle wheel for speed through the water. But in the B&G I can calibrate it. There's a couple of ways of doing it. The easiest way is just to compare it to your speed over the ground when there's no tide, and do that. So I did that, and I had it on a 0.74 factor. But looking at the data, and as to be expected, to be honest, that value is only good on one point of sail, because my paddle wheel is on the left hand side, the port side of the hull. Its error is different if I'm on starboard tack and port tack. And what I did last night with the analysis was find an average correction for each point of sail on each tack, and now my app uses the appropriate correction factor to give me the speed through the water. If I go on the big instrument page, there we've got speed through the water and speed over the ground. So that's from the GPS, and this is my corrected value for the boat sailing on starboard tack, close reaching. And as I come off the wind, the correction factor will change. There's a couple of other things I could do to make that even more granular, the correction. I could do it for different wind speeds or for different heel angles, but at the moment I've simply got a point of sail correction for port and starboard, which should make my speed through the water much more accurate. And we can see that this calculated value differs from the boat value, because the boat value is using a flat 0.74% of the paddle wheel. Here's mobile data, whereas mine has got a different correction for every point of sail, and mine is currently using 0.71. Now it was different just a moment ago because we've just come off the wind a little bit. So Scooby-Doo. And because it's learning the polar at the moment, then obviously we are sailing at 100% of the polar because it doesn't have any previous record. So it's showing green and 100% almost all of the time as it builds up the polar picture, which it is doing nicely. And I'm gonna just change my point of sail by 5 degrees now. Where's the autopilot? And I'm lucky that I can do this on true wind angle or apparent wind angle, so I'm doing it on true wind angle. So we'll go to 50, and then we'll let it settle on 50. It was all the way up at 40, which is why we slowed right down. We'll let it settle on 50, I'll trim the sails, and then we'll do the same again and again and again and again until we've been all the way around on both tacks. Then we'll have a basic polar to start with, and we can start enhancing that in the future. Woo! What's the time now? It's already 3:45, what with that rain and then the engine problem, but that will not stop me from my quest. What a day! I'm bleeding again, but it'll get better. Join me sailing 75 degrees true wind angle on starboard, and the software is learning. It's learning. This is what we've got so far. It's amazeballs. So we're just plodding along. This is synchronizing really nicely now. The nearest boat is miles away. I'm using 10 satellites, in case you were wondering. We've not allowed it to use the iPad GPS because I've got another app running tracking us. So now we can see the blues. Means we're beating the polar. No, we're not. There's that nearest guy. If I tap on him, there he is. CPA 2 point something miles in 2.5 minutes. But he's miles behind me, so it doesn't matter. And so we continue. We're just gonna keep sailing. In fact, we've been on this for long enough, so now we'll go to 70 degrees. I'll let it stable. I'll let it stabilize for a bit. Then I'll trim the sails to see if I can get the speed up. Let it stabilize again, and then change heading again. And then the next time I come sailing, I won't do any learning. I'll just use this as my baseline, and because this is with one reef in the mainsail, I should be able to sail at these speeds all the time. Jolly good. And we're back in the marina, just heading for the berth now. I would film it, but I can't be arsed. Takes forever. Are you recording? Yes, you are. Well, oh man, that's not good. Oh, are you alive? Yes, you are alive. You join. You're pointing at my head. This is not going very well, is it? This is how not to make a blooming YouTube video. What am I doing? So, excellent news, excellent results today. I recorded the data on the whole sailing trip, and we had some very reasonable, quite reasonable polars at the end of it. But one thing that I noticed when I was sailing, particularly quite deep downwind, but it's actually turns out that it's true upwind as well, is that the wind speed obviously is corrupted somewhat by the motion of the boat. So if you're rolling and pitching too much, and it was quite choppy today at times, then the sensed wind increases or decreases by that angular velocity. So because I've taken the entire trip today and I have removed all of the wind points where the boat's angular velocity in pitch or roll was greater than 8 degrees per second, and I am now relearning the polars from today's journey. So if we go here, what you're seeing here is the recorded trip. I don't know if you can even see it. What you're seeing here is the recorded trip today, which was about 2 hours long. The data file has been pared down to only the relevant data, and it is replaying it in real time, and the learning function, which learns the polars of the boat, is learning on filtered data so that it won't get corrupted by wind speeds that are too high because they're, or too low, because the boat was pitching or rolling too quickly. So it's filtering, and the reason I'm replaying it now and learning it is to have a look at the results at the end, to see if they make sense, and to see how much they vary from the original polars that we learned from today's trip. Anytime you see it flashing blue, it's because it's writing a new data point in the polars, because you are achieving better than the previous maximum speed on that angle. So we'll go back to the polar thing, and there you can see it is writing those, or it's producing those curves. And at the moment we've got 76 cells of data on starboard tack only at the moment, and obviously up to, where are we up to there, 60, 70, 75 degrees true wind angle. And my trip today, obviously I sailed a long arc and then another arc on the other tack to take in all of the true wind angles. I had first reef in the whole time today, so these speeds will be a little bit corrupted by that, but actually the difference between full sail and first reef when I've got 10 knots of wind is minimal. So they should be pretty realistic. They should be pretty realistic. Anyway, so I'm just going to put that to one side and let it learn for the next couple of hours. The trip was, how long was it? 3.5 hours. So let it relearn all of the data from today's trip. Meanwhile, I think I might watch a movie or something, and then I'll have a look and I'll show you the polars once it's finished reconstructing them. I have to say, I don't know, try and hold the camera still. I am quite proud of this, and maybe when I get home I might try and make a proper video explaining the functions and the maths involved in the functions. I mean, hell, the maths involved in just parsing and decoding the NEMA messages is something. But then for the calibration of the, by the way, that calibration of the heading and the masthead wind vane worked brilliantly, absolutely brilliantly, and the speed through the water, the corrections for the paddle wheel, absolutely brilliant. I've got accurate data. It's for the first time since I bought the boat. I've got, although no, because when I first bought the boat, it had a trailing log that you just stuck behind the boat and trailed, and it had a little thing that spun round. I think that was probably as accurate as this very expensive B&G setup. But yeah, now that I've got proper calibration for everything, I've finally got a boat which appears to sail the same on both tacks. It's not exactly equal, but it's pretty equal, which has always been a frustration for me, you know, because I'd be sailing on what I thought was a particular point of, not really point of sail, because you just judge that by your eyes, but on a particular angle, and I'd be trying to work out, all right, is it better to tack or to stay on this tack? And then I'd make the decision, all right, I'll tack. I tacked to the same wind angle, true wind angle, and the boat would stop dead. And oh my God. So, and the reason was because I wasn't on the same angle. I was on the same indicated angle, but they were very different. And today's sailing, I did a few tacks just to confirm that it really was the same angle, the same performance on both tacks, and it was. and it's amazing, and I'm delighted. And this big tool that I've made here, I'm going to pare it down, I've decided, into a number of individual apps, like one app for learning the polars of the boat, one app as an ASI display, one app as the HSI display, because altogether it's big, it's very big, because it's having to do everything at the same time. It uses quite a lot of energy. It uses about 30% to 40% of the CPU when it's running, doing everything, learning polars, passing all of the messages, plotting all of the AIS targets, calculating all of the GPS functions that I invented for no particular reason. So yeah, we don't need to do all of those in one big app. I can separate them into individual apps, and maybe put them on the App Store. We'll see. But it's amazing. Absolutely staggered at my own ability right now, although I have to be quite frank, without the coding speed of in Xcode there's an AI helper. I think it's the same as ChatGPT. I can't remember which AI model that is, but you can use that to write the code really quickly, or at least to check the code that you've barely written and to correct it. And also I have used ChatGPT for some of the statistical analysis, the correct formulas for proper statistical analysis, because I am not a mathematician or statistician. I'm just a foolish flight engineer, but there's a great deal of knowledge available to on the internet and to the artificial intelligences, so I've leaned heavily on them in a lot of the data processing that needs to be done and filtering, and it's all worked. And basically I used the AI to work out what functions I needed to include in the software. Then I wrote the code roughly, wrote those functions roughly as they should be, you know, declaring the variables, declaring the functions, including the maths, all the let ifs and that kind of stuff, and then used the Xcode AI to properly formulate the code, and then I've built it up bit by bit, and I'm staggered. You too can write an app with the assistance of artificial intelligence and an A-level grade D from 1987. Jacko Jackson and Mr. Anderson. I don't think we ever knew. We probably did know his first name. I can't remember it. Please, he'll remember it. But was it Jerry, or is that the puppet guy? I don't know. But hey, he was one of my favourite teachers, and it was one of my favourite subjects, although we didn't take it very seriously at the time. I remember one lesson we decided we would perch for the entire lesson. Carl Jones, I probably came up with that. It was heavily influenced by Monty Python, that little class there. Jonesy actually was writing software in the 1980s, and I think his career has been in software. Bleezy, I don't think he's written any software since we left school. He's a top bloke though. Yeah, and me, like I've said in previous videos, I've hardly done any real hard software coding. Built a website, and on those little, you remember before smartphones you had those little slide up personal organizer communicators that you could like program functions into Excel sheets. I learned how to use one of those and built my flying logbook in there and did a couple of other things. But this has really been like a monster project, which I've really enjoyed doing. Yeah. Anyway, that's where it's up to now. Look at the pretty colours.